Hello and welcome to County Courier. I'm Minnie Scipio. On our program today, I'm talking with Marsha Wright from the Peninsula Health District and Ann Elder from the Peninsula Agency on Aging about the Chronic Disease and Diabetes Self-Management Program. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
First off, tell me what constitutes a chronic disease, illness, or condition.
Okay. There are distinct differences between an acute illness and a chronic illness. An acute illness is something that we might equate to the flu or a broken leg or appendicitis, where the beginning of it usually happens suddenly, and where you go to, say, an emergent care center and you get a diagnosis that fairly rapidly. Doctor can do testing for laboratory results and get those results fairly quickly. The role of the professional also in an acute illness is one of leader and of one who prescribes medications or treatments and then follows through. And then the duration of the illness is usually fairly rapid. On the other hand, chronic disease is something that has a longer, slower onset. For example, high blood pressure may take many years to become apparent in an individual. Mm-hmm. Oftentimes, the diagnosis is difficult to diagnose because the individual has been having symptoms that and been to practitioner after practitioner and has not gotten a definitive diagnosis, or a singular laboratory test doesn't define what's wrong with the individual.
Okay.
The duration is long. It can last over a lifetime. You can have chronic diseases that begin early in life and last a lifetime. And the role of the professional is very different in a chronic disease, where they become a partner in your care and a coach and leader.
Okay. Now that you've described what a chronic disease is, explain to us what the Chronic Disease and Diabetes Self-Management Program is. Exactly.
Okay. And
the Chronic Disease Self-Management Program are workshops that are held once a week for 6 weeks. The workshops last about 2 to 2.5 hours, and we provide them in various settings in the community. We've had some at the health department. We do them at recreation centers, community centers, senior centers. We've done them in churches, libraries, and hospitals. People in the chronic disease workshops, people with different chronic health conditions can all come to the same workshop, but they have similar sorts of issues, and we learn about that and talk about that during the workshop. When the workshops that are provided for the diabetes self-management program, it's someone with diabetes, with pre-diabetes, a caregiver of someone with diabetes. The workshops are led by 2 people. Always you have 2 leaders. One of them preferably is, at least one of them should have a chronic condition. It's best if one of them is not a healthcare professional. We want this to be a peer-led sort of group. We talk about things like techniques such as to deal with frustration, with pain, with fatigue, isolation. We talk about exercise. We talk about healthy eating, stress management, effective communication with family members, friends, doctors, decision making. We talk about a variety of different things that are common to people who have healthcare problems. In the workshops, each participant receives a book, Living a Healthy Life with Chronic Conditions, and for now we're able to provide this relaxation CD at the end of the workshop for the people who complete the workshop. The process by which these workshops are led and run is what makes them so effective. They're group, they feed upon the dynamic of the group. You have to have a minimum number of people to have the workshops, and there's a maximum number. You can't have them too big. You have to have a size group that people become a cohesive group in that 6-week time period. They learn to help each other. They learn to help themselves, and the leaders provide information that help guide them into making better self-management decisions and choices and actions.
Okay. So how and when did it start here on the peninsula?
In 2006, the Virginia State Health Department received a grant to train leaders in chronic disease self-management under the Stanford University program. And an additional public health nurse and I were invited to come to Roanoke for training. We went and we were trained to not only conduct workshops, but to train leaders. We brought that information back to the peninsula and began to hold workshops in the community for individuals with chronic disease, and we're very successful with those. And then in 2010, we began to actually train leaders so that we could duplicate the efforts. And our first workshops were held inviting individuals who had a common interest in community health. And Anne was one of those leaders that we trained at that time. Our first workshop was held at the York County Senior Center under your guidance and invitation. And Anne led the program, and I was the individual that oversaw the program at that time. Since that time, we've trained a number of leaders on the peninsula, and we're holding many workshops in many areas of the county and throughout the peninsula area.
So it's actually, the program was actually designed through research with Stanford University?
Stanford University.
Okay.
It is a licensed program from Stanford University.
They actually started the program many years ago in cooperation with an insurance provider, Kaiser Permanente, and it spread across the United States and has spread even into other countries and been translated into several other different languages.
Okay, so it's a global program. Who oversees the program here on the peninsula?
Here on the peninsula, there are two agencies that have the license for it. Peninsula Agency on Aging has its license through DARS, which is the Department of Aging and Rehabilitative Services, and the Peninsula Department of Health has its own license. Earlier, I believe you all came under the Virginia Department of Health. Now they have their own license. We have 6 master trainers who are able to provide the fidelity, which means making certain that these programs that we offer meet the standards from Stanford University. As a licensed program, it is evidence-based, it has been proven to have good results, and they're very protective and want us to be certain that we provide the program exactly like it was designed, so it'll be most effective for the participants.
Okay, you mentioned the levels of training. Explain a little bit more about how that works with the levels of training with the instructors and the leaders.
Okay. They're leaders. At the bottom level, they're leaders. And leaders are people who can lead workshops, and you always lead workshop in pairs of 2. Those leaders are provided with manuals that they have to follow in what they say and how they lead the workshops. For each of the 6 sessions, there are little sections that tell them exactly what they're supposed to do. Now, it isn't a matter of them just telling people how to be healthy. It's a matter of the leaders engaging the participants in the program, in answering questions, in brainstorming, in problem-solving activities. That's what the leaders do. And then you have the master trainers. Marcia and I are master trainers. And our job is to train leaders and to supervise leaders and to make certain that they're following the fidelity, that they're doing exactly what they're supposed to under the Stanford program, as well as we provide support to them. If they're having difficulties or problems in their workshops, we're there to help them and give them support. Supply them with materials, supplies, help them get books, that sort of thing. And the next level up is the T trainer. Now, T trainers are the people who trained us to be master trainers. I know there are at least 2 in the state. I know a couple years ago there were only 2 in the state. We're very fortunate to have one of them in our area who's been working with us for several years now. And that's a wonderful resource because that person has been to Stanford. She's worked with Kate Lorick, who's one of the folks who wrote the book, and it's very helpful to have her available. The T trainers, as I said, as far as I know, they're all trained at Stanford.
So I imagine you're always recruiting for trainers and leaders.
We are.
We are. One of the interesting things is that many of the participants themselves gained so much from the workshops that they take as participants that they become enthusiastic and want to become leaders. And we are open to training them to be leaders. In fact, leaders do not have to be medical people. And the Stanford University wants people who are relatable, who have chronic diseases themselves or are caretakers of people with chronic disease. And so lay people are encouraged to participate in the workshops and then they can certainly apply to become leaders if they so choose.
So once someone becomes a leader, what are their obligations under this program once they become a leader?
Once they become a leader. We do ask that once you become a leader that you provide, co-facilitate, that means lead a workshop with another person within 12 months of being trained, preferably within 6 months. The sooner you do it to your training time, the easier it will be. And then after that, it's best to do it every year or else get a refresher course and go back for a refresher course. In order to become a leader, you do have to go to a 4-day leader training, and it is all day. But you go through the workshop itself and practice leading different sections of the workshop, especially the key parts such as brainstorming, action planning, and problem solving. Those are important things that the leaders have to be comfortable doing.
Okay, so, and those workshops are free? The trainings are free?
The trainings are free.
Okay.
We provide, the leaders are provided with the manual that tells them how to lead the program and other assistance that they need.
Okay, 6 2.5-hour sessions make up the workshop. Give me a typical overview of what a session is like and some of the self-management tools and techniques that are used in the workshop.
Okay. Those 6-week sessions are held in community centers such as churches or libraries where we can meet comfortably together. Remember that we're having individuals who are coming with chronic diseases, and so we need to be accessible to people who have health challenges. So we set them up in convenient areas and hopefully at convenient times where people can get transportation to the area. Each session has tools that they use such as brainstorming and problem solving, making an action plan. We do that through participant activation. The one thing that's unique about this particular program is that it's not a program where you sit and lecture and people just learn information. It's a program where we give people tools from a toolbox to be able to take home with them and use those in the management of their chronic disease. Things like communication skills, stress reduction, again, action planning, brainstorming, problem solving, speaking with your doctor, using medications correctly. And we use those, some of those we use repetitively over the 6-week sessions to reinforce those. For example, action planning, we use those over all of the sessions. And some of the others we focus on sort of intensely for one session more than another.
Mm-hmm. Out of those tools that you use in the sessions, what are the participants saying about the one thing that helps them the most?
I think the one thing that helps them the most is that people come frustrated and depressed and stressed because they've tried to manage their chronic disease with their doctor or with the advice or the education of someone else, but they've never been able to actually use their own strengths and their own empowerment and been given tools to use themselves to make decisions about how they're going to use their medications, how they're going to use exercise or nutrition, or how they're going to be able to speak with their family about their fears and frustrations.
Right, okay. Please stay tuned. We're going to take a short break right now. When we come back, we'll talk more about the diabetes program and the regional partnership.
If you don't fix them, sparks from dragging tow chains could cause a wildfire, and that could be scary. Only you can prevent wildfires.
Traditional light bulbs actually generate 9 times more heat than light. Let's switch to Energy Star light bulbs and stop burning through cash. Saving energy saves you money.
Look at me. Hey.
Raymond, look at Mommy.
Maybe the light hurts his eyes.
Maybe she's just not hungry. Maybe he can't hear us. Maybe we're not stimulating him enough. Maybe it's a phase.
Avoiding eye contact is one early sign of autism. Learn the others today. The sooner it's diagnosed, the better.
Welcome back. I'm talking with Marsha Wright from the Peninsula Health District and Ann Elder from the Peninsula Agency on Aging about the Chronic Disease and Diabetes Self-Management Program. Diabetes, as we know, is a chronic condition. Why is there a workshop that is dedicated solely to diabetes?
Diabetes is a chronic condition with serious complications that can be avoided, lessened, or delayed by better self-management. The diabetes workshop emphasizes special dietary, medication, and exercise concerns that are specific for people with diabetes. We use a lot of the same general information, but we emphasize reading labels, spend more time doing food labels. We look at how exercise can affect your blood sugar and look at blood sugar monitoring in a little more detail. We do not cover the topics necessarily covered by a healthcare provider, a diabetic educator. We're there to reinforce the information that they're providing and help people learn to take the tools that they've gotten from the healthcare providers and make them work in their lives and for their own self-management.
Do you also cover things such as monitoring and meal planning?
We cover monitoring and meal planning. Someone needs to know how to use their glucose monitor before they come to our workshop. We don't tell them how to use glucose monitors. We don't tell them what their medication routine is, but we talk with them about how things they need to watch for and how to use those medications within the ranges that the doctors and healthcare providers tell them to use them within, and give them specific information and guidance. It's stuff they've already known, but it's how to put it into practice. And that's how it is with both the chronic and the diabetes. A lot of the information is things people already know. We've talked about this, we've read about this, healthcare providers have told us these things, but it's a matter of hearing it again and making plans of how we're going to use that information to better self-manage our conditions.
And I imagine getting the reinforcement of the
From
workshop from other
in
people.
The group. And that's,
helps a
to
lot.
me, when I do action plans, I mean, I tell people when I leave a workshop that next week I'm going to walk 3 times for 30 minutes or 20 minutes, and I'm going to follow up the following week and tell them whether I did it or not. I will have done my walk-in because I want them to know that I'm committed to the program.
Right.
I'm and other people feel the same way. Now, if you make an action plan and the following week you've had problems, you can't quite reach your goals or do what you want to do, the group is there to support you and help you and give you ideas for how to, if you want them to, how you can better self-manage. People who've had diabetes, people who've had chronic conditions, they have ideas they can share. They've been through it. They've been there. They know what you're going through. And they can be supportive and give you ideas to better self-manage.
Okay. Over the past year, you've developed a regional partnership with various agencies to work with the Chronic Disease Self-Management Program. Talk a little bit about what that partnership is and what they're doing.
Oh, absolutely. It's one of the things that we're the proudest of in our community, in so much as we have worked over these last several years with a number of healthcare providers and people who have an interest in minimizing the effects of chronic disease. We've been able to enlist individuals who had a common goal, and those entities include the 3 hospital systems here in the area, Peninsula Agency on Aging, the Riverside Center for Excellence in Aging located in Williamsburg, the York County Special Populations Group, the Hampton Health Department, and the YMCA. We also have been able to come together at the table to be able to bring the best assets of those organizations to the table to enhance and help and promote this particular program. And we formed a coalition called CARE, which stands for Chronic Conditions, Awareness, Resources, Education. And we are using that to help with marketing, to help with coordinating programs. Ann is very busy at Peninsula Agency on Aging, keeping a list of current workshops being offered and the ones that are coming up. And we use that venue also to arrange and to fulfill our need for leaders at particular workshops and training. Some of the marketing that is done through the expertise of those agencies, and we all have come together as a united group in order to see the benefits of minimizing chronic disease in our community.
Who can participate in a workshop?
You have to be 18 years or older. They're geared for people who are 18 years or older. For the chronic disease workshops, anyone with a chronic condition or a caregiver of someone with a chronic condition. A lot of us have chronic conditions, whether it's asthma, high blood pressure, obesity, arthritis, heart disease. There's a huge range of conditions. Depression. People, for the diabetes self-management workshop, we like to have folks with diabetes, with pre-diabetes, or caregivers of people with diabetes, family members of people with diabetes. They too may be predisposed to that condition. So, we want to encourage them to consider managing their health more effectively.
Is there a fee for participants to take a workshop?
Currently, there's not a fee for the workshops. And when you attend a workshop, we provide you with a textbook, Living a Healthy Life with Chronic Conditions, and we've been able to provide you free of charge a relaxation tape.
Okay. I know that you want to get the word out about the diabetes and chronic disease self-management program workshops. So how can someone find out more about when and where the workshops are being offered?
We do have brochures that we try to pass around the community. There is a website that generally lists all of the information. It's www.excellenceinaging.org/CDSMP, and you can usually see what workshops are available there, and you can register there. You can call the number at the health department, or you can call me at my number at Peninsula Agency on Aging, and we can provide you a list of when the workshops are.
So you feel the program is very beneficial here on the peninsula?
Yes, it is very beneficial on the peninsula, and I think evidence of that is the excitement that people are beginning to show about it, and how busy we've become and how busy Ann's become in coordinating new programs to be held.
Yeah, we just had completed a leader training last week, and we have a group of enthusiastic leaders, some of whom, as you mentioned earlier, had been in workshops before and decided it was worth it to them to try to help other people.
Is there a goal of the number of people that you intend to reach?
We have a goal of, we'd like to be able to have workshops be available to an individual who's interested within 30 days of their interest and within 30 minutes of their residence, so that people can come referred by their physicians, they can come referred by a friend or a local organization, or if they have an interest, they can research that on the computer. And we hope to develop enough workshops so that we have the availability within 30 days, within 30 minutes.
Well, ladies, I have enjoyed talking with you this afternoon about the chronic disease and diabetes self-management program. I know that it is a beneficial, well-needed program here on the peninsula, and I look forward to working with you more as the program develops. That's our program for today. Thank you for watching County Courier.